One US state just lost enough people to fill an entire city. And no, it wasn't the one you're thinking. Now the study's authors also estimate that half of all US cities will depopulate at least somewhat in the next 100 years. This isn't a recession. It's a quiet evacuation. Americans aren't just moving, they're defecting. And the wild part, it's not about sunshine. It's not even about politics. It's about something way more unsettling. Towns that look stable, until you check who's actually leaving. States still selling the dream, while the middle class quietly disappears. And one place where the land under people's homes is literally vanishing. But real estate prices didn't get the memo. Think you know which states are bleeding the most residents? Think again. One of them brands itself as opportunity. Another calls itself paradise. And one hasn't recovered from a decision made 60 years ago, but nobody talks about it. If you're planning a move, buying property, or just assuming your state is safe, this matters. Because sometimes the biggest financial mistake you can make is staying. Subscribe not for trends, for leverage. You don't want to be the last one holding the welcome mat. I'm Max. Let's break it down. Louisiana doesn't feel like a state. It feels like a soundtrack, brass bands in the street, food that could negotiate peace treaties, front porches that still believe in conversation. You move here for soul, for culture, for that New Orleans glow that makes everywhere else feel beige. And, on paper, it's affordable. Median home price around $200,000, well below the national average. Cost of living roughly 10 to 12% below the US average. So why is Louisiana consistently losing residents? Recent census estimates show net domestic outmigration in the tens of thousands over the past few years. People aren't just drifting, they're leaving, not for better beignets, for survival. Now, here's where it gets weird. Go south of Houma, past the seafood billboards, past the last Walmart. You'll hit places like Isle de Jean Charles. It's a Native American community that's lost over 98% of its land since 1955. That's not a typo. 98%. Why? Coastal erosion and subsidence. A football field of land disappears roughly every 90 minutes in coastal Louisiana. Let that sit. Every 90 minutes. This isn't just a climate debate, it's geography quitting. And when geography quits, insurance companies follow. Fast. Louisiana now has some of the highest home insurance premiums in the country. Multiple insurers have pulled out, entirely. Imagine living on land you love, then suddenly you can't insure it. That's not just a risk, it's a countdown. People aren't just leaving because they want to. They're leaving because they have to. The music keeps playing, but the audience thins out. Families who've been here for generations are packing up, not just for higher ground, but for hope. The stories aren't headlines, they're whispered. We're moving next year. We can't stay. The state still sells a dream. But the middle class, quietly loading up U-Hauls in the dark. And the ones who stay, they watch their neighbors go. Street by street, porch by porch. So Louisiana's exodus isn't just about economics. It's about erosion, of land, of opportunity, of certainty. That's a crisis you can't legislate away. California, the land of opportunity, or so the billboards say. But if everyone's arriving, why does it feel like everyone's also leaving? Let's talk numbers. In just 1 year, California lost over 300,000 residents to other states. Yes, you heard that right. That's entire cities. Evaporating. Why? It's not just about wildfires though. Have you seen the skies lately? It's not just about earthquakes, though the ground here never really makes up its mind. It's cost. Pure and simple. Median home price, north of $800,000. Rent, astronomical. Taxes, don't even get me started. And yet, for every tech millionaire, there are thousands who can't make rent. People come here chasing dreams. But dreams don't pay the bills. Not anymore. It's not just the poor. The middle class is getting squeezed out too. They're not just moving out, they're tapping out. Young families, nurses, teachers, people who make California work. It's almost ironic. The state that sold the dream now watches it slip away. Wildfires force evacuations, droughts threaten water. But it's the monthly bills that finally break people. I've spoken to people who spent years building a life, only to realize it's not sustainable. Some leave for Texas, Nevada, Idaho, places where a house doesn't cost your soul. Others stay, hoping for a break. But the exodus is real. And it's not slowing down. California's traffic jams are famous. But for some, the only route that matters is out. New York, the city that never sleeps. But lately, it feels like more are just leaving. It's not just a New York City story, it's upstate too. From the Bronx to Buffalo, the exodus is everywhere. Why? Affordability, taxes, and a pandemic that made people reimagine what home really means. Let's talk about New York City. Sky-high rents, grocery bills that make you question your choices, taxes that nibble away at every paycheck. For decades, people put up with it for the energy, the culture, the job market. But then suddenly, remote work happened. And people realized, maybe you don't need to pay $3,000 a month for a shoebox. Upstate? Different story, same ending. Factories closed, jobs left. The promise of a comeback, always next year. And for many, next year just never comes. The result? Cities with boarded-up storefronts, main streets that feel like ghosts of themselves. It's emotional. Leaving New York isn't just about money, it's about identity. For some, it's the only place they've ever known. But when the math stops working, even the most loyal New Yorkers start Googling moving companies. The state's lost hundreds of thousands of residents in the past decade. That's not just a blip, that's a warning. And yet the myth persists. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. But what if you can't? Illinois, land of Lincoln, and, well, land of leaving. Chicago's skyline is iconic, but honestly, the numbers are not. Illinois has lost population for 9 straight years. Let's say that again, 9 straight years. Why? Sure, crime rates in Chicago make headlines, but it's not just that. It's taxes. Property taxes in Illinois are some of the highest in the nation. Add in job losses, and suddenly, that dream house in the suburbs doesn't feel so dreamy anymore. I've heard from families who've lived here for generations. School districts shrinking, malls empty, corner shops closing, one after another. The feeling isn't panic, it's fatigue. Quiet, relentless, exhausting fatigue. People aren't waiting for some dramatic rescue. They're just leaving. Indiana, Wisconsin, even further afield. For lower taxes, for jobs, for a sense that the future isn't just a rerun of the past. And here's the thing, Illinois is still selling itself as a hub. But the jobs? Quietly disappearing. Manufacturing, which was once the backbone, now feels more like a memory. The result? A state that feels like it's holding on, but everyone's looking for the exit. New Jersey, the Garden State. But lately, it feels more like the leaving state. Why? 2 words. Property taxes. Highest in the nation. Just let that sink in for a second. Then there's the cost of living. Groceries, gas, insurance. Everything just costs a bit more here. The state's still packed, sure. But look closer. Outmigration is real. Every year, more folks move out than move in. And it's not just retirees heading south. It's young families, working professionals, people who love the shore, but just can't afford to stay. I've talked to people who grew up here, raised their kids here, built a life here, but when the property tax bill comes in, it's like a bad joke. For some, it's a choice between paying the tax or investing in their future, somewhere else. New Jersey's close to New York City, Philadelphia. That used to be a huge draw, but now, with remote work, do you really need to pay a premium just to be near a city you barely visit? It's emotional. This isn't just about numbers, it's about roots, but sometimes, the cost of staying outweighs the cost of leaving. Michigan, the Motor City, the Great Lakes, but for many, it's the great goodbye. Detroit's story is legendary, boom, bust, and now, slow bleed. Jobs once defined Michigan, auto plants, steel mills, factories, but when those jobs left, so did the people. Detroit shrank from 1.8 million to under 700,000. That's not just numbers, that's neighborhoods vanishing, schools closing, entire blocks abandoned. It's more than Detroit though. Flint, Saginaw, smaller towns, same pain. Economic decline isn't just a headline, it's a way of life. For many, hope is a U-Haul with the engine running. But here's what's brutal. People don't want to leave. They love Michigan, the lakes, the seasons, the grit. But when work dries up, loyalty only goes so far. For some, it's the only way forward. For others, it's heartbreak. You can see it in the empty factories, the faded murals, the for sale signs collecting dust. Yet Michigan still dreams of a comeback, and maybe it will. But for now, the numbers keep dropping. The middle class, quietly disappearing, one moving van at a time. West Virginia, mountain roads, winding rivers, and a sense of community like nowhere else. But for many young people, it's a place you leave, not a place you stay. The jobs dried up, coal, manufacturing, even the small businesses, and when opportunity left, the young followed. College graduates don't just move out, they move on. To cities, to other states, chasing futures they can't find at home. It's not for lack of love. People here are proud, resilient, rooted. But you can't build a life on nostalgia. And so, houses sit empty. Schools consolidate. Main streets feel quieter every year. I've heard stories of entire graduating classes where only a handful stick around. The rest? Gone before their 20s are over. It's a quiet exodus, but it's relentless. West Virginia's beauty is unmatched, but you can't deposit scenery in a bank account. Until opportunity returns, the exodus continues. One backpack, one diploma, one goodbye at a time. Hawaii. The word paradise gets thrown around, but here it feels earned. Beaches, sunsets, that island breeze. But what if I told you, even paradise isn't immune? Hawaii is losing residents, fast, and it's not just a trickle, it's a wave. Why? Cost of living. The median home price on Oahu is over $1.1 million. Groceries? Sky high. Gas? More expensive than anywhere else in the US. The twist? It's not tourists leaving, it's locals. Families who've been here for generations, priced out of their own neighborhoods, forced to move to the mainland just to survive. Jobs in tourism pay but not enough to own a home. Young people leave, chasing opportunity that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, and every year, the exodus grows. It's heartbreaking. Hawaii isn't just a postcard, it's a community, a culture, but the numbers don't lie. Even paradise can't compete with a paycheck that goes further elsewhere. Wait, before you pack your bags, remember, sometimes, the place you leave behind is the one you miss the most. But sometimes, leaving is the only way forward. Think about this. Where would you go if you had to start over? Let me know in the comments. Maybe your state's safe. Maybe it's next. The point isn't panic, it's power. Knowing when to leave is just as important as knowing when to stay. Don't be the last one standing on the empty street, wondering where everyone went. If you found this eye-opening, subscribe for more stories that matter. Because sometimes, the biggest risk is thinking you can't be next. I'm Max. See you in the next one.